Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we turn to talking about one of the wokest movie making companies out there today. Of course, we're talking about Disney again. They've proven to be getting more and more influenced by progressive, social justice warrior leaning politics year after year now. We've discussed these stories extensively here on the show too, like when we covered Captain Marvel last year, and a slew of other Marvel related woke moments since then. And of course, Disney owns Marvel. And then Disney also decided to feminize and ruin the latest franchise they've added to their library, the Star Wars series, which got a new Mary Sue female lead in The Force Awakens, and then, by The Last Jedi, numerous other feminist-style leaders started popping up in the movies too, and the rest of the cast was equally obnoxious and diverse as well. And even Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker came out a few months ago, and it famously bragged about including the first girl-on-girl kiss, a small, minor, easy-to-miss moment at the end of the film that obviously was just put in there to pander to radical leftists and other alphabet peoples, and as a way for them to advertise. And well, today's story is actually very similar to that Rise of Skywalker one. You see, recently hype has been building for the next upcoming Disney Pixar film called Onward. This computer animated adventure movie, Onward, it's coming out about a week from now, and apparently Disney is getting a little desperate about promoting this one. Not surprising either, since this is a new property very few people have heard about. Only diehard Disney fans and Pixar ones and moviegoers who saw the trailer, well, very few people even know this film existed. And now that we're getting close to the release date, Disney has opted to promote this thing by bragging about a so-called first LGBTQ character, similar to how they tried to get woke points and hype for Star Wars with that lesbian kiss we just mentioned. And if the alphabet moment in Onward plays out similarly too, it's going to be a small, insignificant moment, obviously just put in there to help with promotions. And believe it or not, that's actually a best case scenario for Disney here, because if they do put their first alphabet character into a movie too much, then the SJWs are going to inevitably complain about that too, and they'll want their character to be in the movie more, and also they'll nitpick the portrayal, saying it's not right or maybe it's too stereotypical. You name it, and they'll come up with a way to complain about it, because once you invite these liberal wolves into your sheep's den, their hunger will never be satisfied. Or perhaps you could compare them to a bull in a china shop, because every place SJWs invade ends up worse for wear afterwards. Now, to start things off, let's go to a trending moment from Twitter. It's called Onward features Disney's first LGBT character. Looks like Lena Waithe is the actor playing this character that's seen in this picture, and the character's name is Officer Spectre. And I think it's safe to say that this actress is an out LGBT person too, because of course, actors can't act anymore. Nowadays, the SJW-run Hollywood has to get actors who are literally the same traits as their character for woke and SJW reasons. Then this response tweet from Fandom made me laugh about this too. It says, Lena Waithe will voice Disney's first openly LGBTQ animated character in Onward. It's a modern fantasy world and we want to represent the modern world. A modern fantasy world and they want to represent the modern world too? Not sure I quite understand that logic. In my opinion, it's rather ridiculous and hilarious to create this whole big and wide fantasy world which appears to be populated by monsters and magic and all of these out of this world elements, and then they want to shoehorn in an alphabet person who's dressed up like a lesbian cop from the real world? Not sure I quite understand this angle. I don't know, just seems odd to me. Just as odd as, say, making a movie about space aliens and magic monks and then having them be led by modern day real world feminists. Kind of like what happened with Star Wars again. Yeah, lots of Star Wars flashbacks are coming to me when reading into this Onward project and its silliness. And they're not good flashbacks either. I feel like I have PTSD from the Vietnam War or something. Except my flashbacks go back to the Great Meme War, which started around 2016, and some might say it's still going on to this day. Next, this tweet brings up how previous Disney movies had alphabet characters way before this too, like Maleficent, which plays out like a queer rights allegory. And of course, rumors always circled around about Frozen, saying the Elsa character might be gay too. And in addition, this following tweet talks about how the Beauty and the Beast live action remake had a so-called exclusively gay moment already too, when they made the LeFou character alphabet as well. And well, I think the greater point here is you can't trust these studios and the media when they tout things as the first woke or SJW moment anymore. In fact, Disney has been misleading people about this kind of stuff for a while now. Going back to their Marvel movies again for a moment, Disney has done this before when promoting them at least twice. First, it was Black Panther, which came out in 2018, which was promoted as being the first black superhero film, even though movies like Blade, Spawn, and Steel had come out decades before it. Then Captain Marvel came out last year, and it It of course tried to brag about being the first female superhero film, even though Marvel had already made Elektra many years before, and other studios made girl hero films recently too, like with Catwoman or Wonder Woman as well. I think you guys get the point. When studios advertise their wokeness like this, it's usually misleading at best, and they're outright lying or hardcore omitting facts at worst, as a way to give their new projects some more hype. Now, before we move on, I do want to give this movie some credit first. Not only does Pixar Studios have an amazing track record, Toy Story, Incredibles, Monsters Inc., and Coco are great movies, just to name a few, but also, this new Onward movie has an extremely promising cast. As this tweet from Disney itself states, the film is being led by Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now, if that's not enough to get you out of the house and to a theater, I don't know what is. Hopefully this woke advertising about the alphabet character, hopefully that's just a fluke or a terrible side note in an otherwise very promising looking project. We of course also have a special place in our hearts here for Chris Pratt, who actually is one of the few based Christian, God-fearing, and pro-conservative actors out there in Hollywood today. And that's even besides the point that his acting is fantastic too. And Chris always puts on a good show because he's likable, friendly, humorous, and seems to be fun to be around as well. So again, hopefully this alphabet boasting is just a marketing ploy, and maybe then this woke SJW stuff won't ruin what seems like it could be a very good movie with a good studio and great cast behind it too. Now, regardless of our well wishes though, we do still have more of this woke boasting to go over today. Moving off of Twitter now, let's next turn to an article talking about this story more. This article from today.com has more details. It's called Disney Announces First Official LGBTQ Character in an Animated Feature. So I heard. Not sure I like seeing every mainstream media news outlet and their mother ranting and raving about this though, but let's go ahead and give them a chance and see where this actually goes. Disney Pixar's newest film Onward is breaking ground with the first for the Disney Pixar universe. The new animated film, set to release March 6th, introduces a self-identified lesbian character named Officer Spectre. The character, voiced by actress and screenwriter Lena Waithe, is a Cyclops cop and is featured in one scene in the middle of the main character's quest. Just one scene then, huh? Cora Ray, the producer for Onward, told Yahoo Entertainment, "It just kind of happened. The scene when we wrote it was kind of fitting and it opens up the world a little bit, and that's what we wanted," Ray added. The film's director, Dan Scanlon, said of the film, "It's a modern fantasy world and we want to represent the modern world." If you say so, Dan. But to me it sounds like you want to represent the modern world only in ways that happen to signal to woke liberals. This is just you and your studio making a half-assed attempt to virtue signal and pander to leftists. Let's be real. Because if you really wanted to reflect the real modern world, why not also include some characters with conservative influences? Sure, you've got Chris Pratt in your cast and on the payroll, but let's also make him a pro-life family man working a 9-to-5 job in a factory in order to feed his family. We could even have a stay-at-home type mother character in the film too. And also, why don't we have someone wearing a MAGA hat or something? Oh, I know why. It's because even though the right wing makes up half of this country, we don't get pandered to one iota. And in addition, woke minorities get way too much pandering and all the corporate and Hollywood lip service they can handle, even though they only make up a small fraction of our people. According to Yahoo Entertainment, Onward stars Tom Holland and Chris Pratt voicing the two main characters, Ian and Barley, respectively. The brothers lost their father at a young age before they could say goodbye. When Ian turns 16, their mom, voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, gives them a present left to them by their late father, a 24-hour resurrection spell. The spell goes wrong and the two brothers are left on a quest to find a replacement element before the spell wears off and their father disappears again. Well, I do have to give credit where it's due again. In addition to a wonderful voice cast, this story also seems to be based on a traditional family, like a mother, father, and two sons family, albeit a family made up of magic-wielding monsters. But it still does have that conservative influence I was asking for, even though it's played down and not promoted in the slightest. And also, it's worth noting that this film is led by two male characters, who also happen to be voiced by straight white males. Now, this is a thing that's of course not promoted either, but it is worth pointing out, because while the left in Hollywood can't stand our kind and they attack and shame us whenever possible, but at the same time, the numbers don't lie either, and they will keep putting our guys in the leads of films because they know we're more popular, more likable, and more likely to bring in the big box office bucks. Another point for the Onward side here then, and I would still call it about even as of yet, perhaps leaning in favor of the bad woke advertising ruining this though, but also, at the end of the day, it's really more about what the actual content of the movie is more than anything else, and that's still to be determined. Officer Spectre comes in towards the middle of the brothers' quest while they head to the magical mountains. In one scene, the character and her cop partner Officer Gore, played by Ali Wong, they pull over a driver who claims he was distracted because his girlfriend's sons have been acting up. "My girlfriend's daughter got me pulling my hair out," Officer Spector relates during the scene. While this is the first confirmed instance, previously there were only speculations of LGBTQ characters in the Disney Pixar universe. When the trailer of Finding Dory dropped in 2016, the internet blew up the sight of a lesbian couple pushing a stroller through the aquarium, but the film ultimately didn't address the scene. The internet was at it again when Toy Story 4 came out last year and featured a glimpse of two women dropping off a little girl at kindergarten. Well, I find this new alphabet cop scene to be equally unimpressive, just like these last two mentioned. In fact, all the gushing and clamoring around the possibility of an alphabet character being in a movie like this all seems like total cringe to me. And worst of all, daring to promote with this and trying to champion these insignificant moments in order to sell more tickets, that's equally appalling. And it's really only small groups of a few SJWs who would even care about this stuff. They just speak the loudest and complain the most, making their side seem bigger than it actually is, looking overinflated when it's really not. As for this line that's revealed here, well, hearing a girl character say "my girlfriend's daughter," that just seems so forced and unnecessary, despite the script appearing to try and make this sound casual and natural. To me, it just seems anticlimactic though, and it really reminds me of a scene from South Park actually. There was that one episode where everyone in town was excited to watch this new cop show on TV because it was going to be the first time someone on television was allowed to say the word shit. This happened in a South Park a while back, and back then, the town watched and anxiously waited for something cool to happen in their cop drama show, but instead, in the last moment, the character simply just says, "Hey, you got some shit on your lip." Totally nonchalant and mostly unrelated to anything going on in the plot. Regardless, the South Park town hilariously cheered on the moment anyway, despite it being anticlimactic and somewhat of a letdown if you were actually there. And that to me reminds me of this whole bit in this new Onward movie. It's anticlimactic and just a random line that's a throwaway. And sure, some woke leftists will cheer this moment on, this mostly unimportant "my girlfriend's daughter" line, but they're cheering it on not because it's cool or well done or significant, but they just want to support and promote their SJW related woke reasoning because they're seeing it in a movie, so they feel like they have to support it. Later this year, Disney will officially be introducing a same-sex couple into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in The Eternals. The movie, scheduled to be released November 6th in theaters, is set to feature Haz Sleeman and Brian Tyree Henry as a same-sex couple with a child. Sleeman told New Now Next that not only will the film feature the MCU's first same-sex couple, it will also feature the first same-sex kiss as well. Can't wait. Everyone cried on set, he said of the moment. "For me, it's very important to show how loving and beautiful a queer family can be." Yikes. Looks like Disney is really doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on this woke advertising stuff. That's of course motivated by SJWs and alphabet people who are being squeezed into these movies for bad reasons. Obviously, a lot of this started in the Marvel movies back with Black Panther, which, as we mentioned earlier, successfully put out what they called the first black superhero movie. And now we've had the first female one, Captain Marvel, and another female one on the way. Black Widow is coming out this year. In addition, the Eternals movie is coming out later this year, and it's going to be the first gay movie apparently. Just like how Onward is having the first openly gay character in a Pixar film. Looks like 2020 is lining up to be a pretty woke pro-SJW year, especially for Disney, Marvel, and other liberal-leaning studios and productions. This, of course, is very bad and terrible to see, but it's also kind of good. It's bad for the movies and the annoying marketing is going to get old, but at least it's good for us and this show, and it gives us plenty to talk about here each and every day. What do you guys think? Should Disney's Onward be bragging about having their first alphabet character? Do people really see movies for these kinds of reasons? Or is this just a marketing strategy or a sort of deceptive ploy? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button to help support this channel, and we'll see y'all next time.